Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Thanks for coming to our meeting and for being here today. To start off with, I am going to have another special guest, Brian, share his story because it will amaze you. Brian and I have been friends through, we actually met through Michaela Peterson through her Lion Diet Club. And Brian and I were really sick. And now we're really not. So, Brian, would you like to share some of your story with everybody?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for providing this platform for all of us.
Yeah, no problem.
My health story, or where I begin it, is in October of 2016. And seemingly overnight, though I have different theories about that now, I developed an idiopathic illness resulting in a whole host of symptoms. So I had exhausting headaches, excruciating fatigue, chronic pain, muscle pain, joint pain, heart palpitations, gastrointestinal distress, skin issues, trouble sleeping, and more.
And you were how old?
I was 22
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah.
You're not supposed to be feeling all that at 22.
Yeah. So it started with what we're normal people do, going to the doctors, trying to see if they can find out what is wrong. I saw countless doctors and specialists over the course of a few months to try to establish a diagnosis, and those efforts were frustratingly unsuccessful. Eventually, I was referred to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, and they did a full workup there. Just from what I understood at the time, it's where you go when they're not they don't know where else to send you. And the good news was throughout that whole process and my experience at Mayo was that they weren't finding anything wrong, right? I mean, they weren't finding some terminal cancer or something, which was good news. But at the same time, to not have an explanation for why I was in pain all of the time wasn't fun. And in some sense, that psychological aspect of it, that torment of not having an explanation, was at least as bad as the physical pain, if not worse, just because when you don't have hope for what to do and don't know why, that can take its toll. So with the recommendation from Mayo being, well, hopefully this will just get better over time, it caused me, or allowed me, the opportunity to really look within and go, okay, what factors do I have under my control that I can at least try manipulating to see about finding help for myself, or just to see if I could improve anything. And one of those, especially being as sick as I was, or as much in pain as I was, one of the factors that I came across was people influencing their diet. And over the course of 2 years, I tried various ones. I would try gluten-free. I tried paleo. When I tried those, there were maybe minimal improvements, but I still was in pretty rough shape. Eventually, I tried going plant-based, so that's interesting.
Really? I didn't know you tried that.
Yeah, and my symptoms actually got worse when I did, so that's just interesting to note. But fortunately, I was listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson for the other work that he is known for. And in one of his interviews with Joe Rogan, he commented how he and his daughter suffered significantly from autoimmune issues, and that they both found relief and substantial improvements in their lives by trying this all meat thing. And you probably know, Emily, maybe others do too, that when you're in that pit, or at least I was sort of willing to try anything. It's like, hey, why not? So I did, and I went all in. I know some people choose to taper, but my personality is just more kind of like going all in on something just to try, especially when, in my case, I was sort of desperate to feel better. And within the first week, the headaches that I had for over 2 years went away. Within the first 2 weeks, the fatigue that I had went away and lifted. And then within the first month, all the other symptoms that I was experiencing went away as well. And then just as a bonus, body composition and just overall like physical wellness, not to mention mental and even spiritual wellness, but just to see that difference just by changing something as simple as diet was amazing. And it's really fulfilling, I suppose, just to connect with other people such as yourself, Emily, and other people in these groups, just to see that, well, there's two things. One, that we're not alone. I think that's huge. And then two, that we have more power than I think a lot of us think we do to influence our lives and our health. And I guess that's where I've arrived at now, is beating that drum and bearing witness that healing is possible. And that if you're in that place of feeling stuck, or if you're suffering, that you don't have to stay there, and that there are things that you can do to change that for you. You don't need permission from anyone else. I mean, if you have support, great, but you can do that yourself. So
absolutely,
here we are.
and honestly, like, I see the parallels with your story. With mine, I was almost, now looking back, I'm almost grateful that all of the reviews that I read of MS and MS medication was horrible. All of it was, you're going to end up in a wheelchair in 10 years. It's only going to get worse. The side effects are worse than the actual disease. I'm almost grateful because it was an obvious roadblock. It was obvious that okay, no. So I'm almost glad that the Mayo Clinic was just like, I hope it gets better. Because then that gave you the strength to go, okay, well, this isn't okay. I'm going to find another answer. Because if they had given you like, oh, well, you can do A, B, C, and D, then you probably would have thought, oh, well, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, it should probably be noted too that throughout the whole process, I mean, even before I ended up at Mayo, but then going to Mayo too, I was offered plenty of possible like medications I could take to try to help with some of the symptoms. But because I'm stubborn, I didn't want to. And that's kind of ironic because my mom, who was with me through the whole experience as a pharmacist, but I think weirdly, one of the things that got people to take me seriously that something was wrong, considering all of the tests were showing that they couldn't find anything, was that I was refusing medication. I think sometimes doctors or whoever maybe just thought, oh, is this kid just making something up to, you know what I mean, just to get something? And fair enough. I mean, maybe they see that, but the fact that when I was offered medications to try to help the symptoms, I was like, I don't want that. I want to figure out what's going on, I think helped them take me more seriously, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you
But
wanted to get to the root cause. You didn't want a Band-Aid.
yeah, yeah. And then also interesting, but maybe not surprising, to note that I think maybe once throughout that whole process did one of the specialists like just bring up diet as being maybe a factor or something you can try. And if I'm remembering right, that was maybe like a urologist that I went to go see just to, and trying to explore one of the weird symptoms I was having. So, and of course, it wasn't all meat. That wouldn't have been the recommendation. But the fact that no other medical professionals even had that in their vocabulary, or, you know what I mean, in their possible treatment plans of like, well, let's look at what you're eating. So
Exactly. So what are you eating? And has that changed over the past, how many years has it been? 3 years
yeah,
now?
3 years, yeah, since like February 5th, I think was.
Yeah, I forgot we're carnivore twins.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so when I first started, you mentioned the lion diet, which was sticking with strictly beef, salt, and water. And that, I think even today, is definitely what I feel most optimal when I eat that. That being said, I don't know if it's fortunate or not, but I seem to also be able to tolerate other animal products. So I still stick with just the carnivore diet, maybe as in that broader umbrella. I seem to be able to tolerate like chicken, pork, fish. So every now and then I'll have those too. But I
Good.
definitely personally feel best just sticking with beef, salt, and water.
That's awesome. And so has, because I know that we've talked before about like healing and that you've done some experiments with reintroducing. So what have you tried to reintroduce that didn't work?
Well, there was a period of time, it must have been maybe like 6 months after my initial success, that I was just curious, like if I try reintroducing like grains or rice or vegetables, like what would happen. And I did those separately, and in each of those cases symptoms would start coming back. Specifically, the first thing I always noticed would be like muscle pain and joint pain combined with the headaches. And it's interesting, and I don't know that maybe we've talked about this one-on-one, but I've read and heard other people's testimonies that say given they're on the carnivore diet, or maybe whatever diet and elimination diet, long enough that they'll be able to start reintroducing things and not have problems. And hey, if that works for people, that's awesome. And maybe the theories would be that if you give your body enough time away from the things that are causing it harm, that the healing can go on and then you can reintroduce things. But at the same time, maybe there are those people, perhaps like us, that just are more sensitive for whatever reason, that staying more strict seems to produce better results. So, and the other side of it too, because I honestly haven't tried much in the way of reintroduction for probably like 2 years now, is that I just remember even still like what that all felt like, that I'd rather not go back if I could help it. But maybe, I mean, maybe it would be worth trying someday, just because I'm just a curious person. I would love to know, has there been other healing inside that would allow me, I don't know, the capability to, but at the same time, I also really like steak and bacon, and you know what I mean? Like the animal food family. So I definitely don't feel like I'm missing out on much. And I've told you this before, but in all aspects of my life, not just this, it's just been a benefit. I really prize simplicity, and incorporating this lifestyle has been great for that. So
Yes. And honestly, I feel the simplicity has become something that I crave. And I'm actually annoyed whenever I have to like, eat something else. Like if I'm out and about and I can't go to what I have every single day.
yeah.
It's like a disturbance. Like it's just
Mhm.
like, ugh. And people are like, don't you miss blah blah blah? I'm like, no, I love my simplicity. I love my what I found that works.
Yeah.
So this has been quite a journey for you. and let people know what you are working on with your career change.
Sure.
Because I am so stupid excited about your career change. Like, I feel like I'm more excited. I might be more excited than you are. Like, I'm so happy.
Well, that could be it. I don't know. But no, but just in line with everything that we've just been talking about, it truly does feel like such a blessing and maybe even a calling to share our experiences with other people, because if there's any gift of going through what we went through, it's in letting people know that there's another side to that dark place. And so in that light, I've decided, at least for now, to start a business also doing coaching. So if anybody would want to either talk further or reach out to me, I have a Facebook and Instagram page. It's called VIA Health and Wellness. So VIA Health and Wellness. And people can reach out. And it's just starting out as a side business now, just to see where it grows. But as I said, it's what I feel maybe we're called to do when we go through things like that, is that I know that other people are still in the throes of that kind of thing now. So if any of us can be that person to help, and ultimately it's always a journey of your own self-discovery, but to have people to share that journey with can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And I will put in the show notes the way to contact you. I'll put your website in there. And I got to tell you guys, I reviewed every single word of his website. And what I loved was that it is a journey inward. And it is about, like he said, going, okay, the answer isn't out here. I got to find the answer. And going inside of yourself and listening to yourself. And he really navigates you through that. And Brian is an exceptional human being in that his words are they're so clear and concise, and the clarity that comes about from just the conversations I've had with Brian, it's life-changing. So I highly recommend you, if you're looking for any help on this, to go find Brian through Via Health. I'm so excited about this.
It's very sweet of you to say.
It's true. It's true. I mean, there's so many times that I've been on a phone call with you and I'm just like, oh yeah. Like you say stuff in such a clear way that just gives me such peace, that it's not ooh, I think that might be, it's clear. Like, ooh, that is the answer. That is the direction that I want to at least walk into. So thank
Great.
you so much.
Oh, I'm glad.
No problem. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And you are welcome anytime to jump in. And I'm so grateful. Can you put the link in the chat?
I can certainly try.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. So anybody have anything that they want to update us on, or any questions that you have for us? All you got to do is just raise your hand either on screen or raise your hand in the meeting under the reactions. All right. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask if any of the regular people that come, if you guys have any updates that you want to share on how your week's gone. Jules.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I had a pretty incredible week. So,
awesome.
I was working at my local coffee shop, and I met this guy, and I only know his name like from passing. We say hi sometimes, and we were talking about Hemingway, and I don't even know why I did it, but I just told him, yeah, I'm in recovery and it's hard. I struggle sometimes. And I didn't even know he was in recovery as well. And we just started talking, and it was amazing. I was sharing like kind of the pain I was going through and all these things that were really hard for me. Now that my body and mind are healed, I still have, so many scars and trauma associated with, the last, well, most of my life actually. And he just said, okay, well, that's great. Let's talk again sometime soon. And so I saw him again a couple of days later, and we were talking again. I was just saying, man, I'm really having a hard time at home. I have all these, things going through my head that are just, I have a hard time getting rid of. And it's just very, very painful. And he said, well, when's the last time you went to your meeting? And I said, what meeting? I've been doing recovery on my own. Like, I don't go to any meetings. Like, what? Everything you said, I thought you were in recovery. I thought you were in AA. I'm like, no, I've never been. And it was at that moment when I realized that, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Like, I always chose to treat my illness with alcohol. That was a choice I made. Yes, it was always usually because of how I was feeling, trying to suppress my emotions, trying to suppress the anxiety or the mania. But I chose alcohol, and I drank a lot. And I drank, from the age I started drinking when I was 18. I drank, when I was in college, tons of binge drinking on the weekends. And then when I was working, as a consultant, guess what we did at lunch with all my clients? We'd go out, drink a lot, especially in France where I work, because the lunch break was 2 hours. So a lot of time to drink. And when I worked in breweries, we would taste every beer. I mean, I would have to sometimes, after my work ended at 5 some days, sit in my car in the parking lot just so I could drive the mile it took me to get home. And I never really thought I had a problem.
Wow.
I never understood that. And so I go to this first meeting, and he said, anyone's, welcome, but for this meeting, it's kind of an advanced meeting to go. You have to admit you're an alcoholic. And I said, I am. I know Yikes. I am.
And how long has it been since you drank?
Since January 1st.
Okay.
And since I started carnivore, I haven't really wanted to drink anymore. I mean, I've drank for social occasions when I go out with, my family or for New Year's, but I didn't want to. It wasn't something like that enticed me anymore. So I really, for 9 months, I've pretty much been pretty sober. I've never overdrank. I never had more than one, and that's, this way of eating has really helped me with that, because having my mood balanced, being stable, I don't feel any desire to self-medicate. But what I would for AA for was not for that to help me with my, cravings. It was really to find out how all these wonderful people are able to find peace with who they are and what they've done to others, and, what's happened to them. And that's the story I heard the first meeting I went to. And it was so powerful, so amazing. It was like, I almost cried listening to this man speak about his experience that was so terrible and yet so much like my own, of loss of everything, And so it was just, I went back the next night and I saw a meeting where people were celebrating sobriety and, the years they were sober. And this is without, our way of eating. So it's extra tough, but It works. It really works. They're able to do it, which is so inspiring and incredible. And it was just a really amazing, self-discovery for myself this week. And then, being able to meet others, like myself, who had really destroyed their lives because of addiction, and that they're doing great now, and they're so positive and so, supportive and non-judgmental. It was an incredible thing to do. And so I just wanted to share that, because today, the first time in weeks, I've slept really, really well. I woke up this morning like at peace, and I was able to speak with my family without feeling guilty for the first time in I don't know how long.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. And I think that that's so important, that we understand that the healing continues. that, it's amazing that we've found this way of correcting so much with our diet, but that's not everything. Just like what I've learned from Brian about the inner focus and the spirituality. There's so much more. There's so much more that you discover and that you go through. And like you said, because I saw, of course, your post today with the 12 steps, and I read through them, and the part where it talks about the other people that you have destroyed or the other people that you have hurt. And just because we're better doesn't mean there's not a path of destruction behind us. And so I love that you're actively working on that, to heal and to repair all of that.
I'm really hopeful, now that this will work. I saw so many examples last night of people who have healed from that. My experience is much worse. I mean, and even without, balancing their body, just by, help, getting help, believing in a higher power. And it's so inspiring, and I'm so inspired by these folks, and I'm glad to be there.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that that's definitely needs to be part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk about how they're doing this week, or any victories, any struggles? Claire.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to reach out to you. You asked, I think a couple of weeks ago, some information about Alzheimer's disease.
About what?
Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's.
Yes. And yes. I saw a short video about a doctor speaking about it, and I wanted to know if you wanted me to send the link and stuff like this.
Yeah, that would be great. I think there was a somebody who joined the meeting who asked about it. So yeah, go ahead and put it in the chat. And we can link it.
Yeah. I just put it in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Claire.
And something else I wanted to share, if you have time.
Yeah.
I was speaking about it yesterday, and it made me struggling a little bit. I was speaking about me being sick in the past and how I hurt my family. And because being sick, sometimes I was really nasty. Sometimes I had really painful words with people around me. I just wanted to be alone. I wanted to hide from people. And so I was not the best ever. And regarding of this, now I forgave myself about this, and my family forgave me about all this, because they know that I was sick and it was not my fault. But today, still now, I'm still struggling with the guilt of taking my son's childhood, because when I was deeply sick, my boy was only 3, 4, 5 years old. And I was in the wheelchair. I was with a tube on the nose. And it was hard for him to see me like this. It was hard for him as well to have the remarks at school with the other kids. Other kids are really hard. They're really nasty. And I remember a lot of stuff happened at this time, and still now I cannot go through the guilt. and I still need to speak about it with adults, but I can't speak about it with my boy, because I don't want to remember him all this period, because now he sees me like much more healthy, and I want him to focus on this. But yeah, for me at the moment it's quite hard to go through this.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to share this.
No, and I appreciate that. I have a son, and there were many times with my bipolar disorder and with my MS that I was just not physically or emotionally or mentally available for him. And I have been down that deep hole of thinking all the things that my son has lost because he had a mentally ill and physically ill mother. But there is so much healing in knowing that we have reversed this and that we have navigated this to now we are healthy. And we're continuing. Like it just keeps getting better. And I maybe this is my little Pollyanna way of thinking about it, the way I look at it, but I also see the strength that it has brought about in my child. He has compassion and understanding of others who suffer. And
he's a simple mind. He has empathy, and that's good. But
yes. Go ahead.
It's like, when we just went together alone when I divorced, he was only 6, and he said once to me, "But mommy, I have to take care of you." And I say to him, "No, you're the son. You don't have to take care of me. I can take care of myself, and I have to take care of you." And that he became older, and he was missing like this small childhood, and yes, his innocence. And yeah, I know now he's really smart, he's a fantastic boy and everything, but I still have the guilt of he grew up too fast because of me. And I cannot give him that back.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. My son freaks out whenever I eat anything that's not meat and fat. He is just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "I'm cooking this for you." And he was like, "Okay, it looked like you put it in your mouth." And I was like, "No, like, I'm okay." And he was like, I just like, I think it was something totally carnivore that I had. And he was just like, what if you can't walk tomorrow?" And I was just like, I know, baby. I'm so sorry that I scared you, but I'm in control. I'm understanding of my illness, and this is not something that's going to make me not be able to walk tomorrow. And so I think it's really important to even have those conversations with them. And the guilt is something to address. But it's also something that I think is important to not let control you and have a hold on you, because Claire, you are brilliant, and what you have done and what you are bringing, the healing that you are bringing to your son's life is exponential. The inner work that you have done to be the mom that you are now, he is going to be leagues above any other kid, because of the compassion and the introspection and the beauty that he has in a mother like you. So I know that it sucks right this moment, but just hold on and let go of that guilt, because it is not yours.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thank you so
sharing.
much.
No problem. Thanks for sharing. Ivana, hello.
Hi. Hi everyone. This is my first day here with you guys, and
Hi.
I came across a few YouTube videos this week, and I kind of binge watch everything.
It's binge
From
watchable, isn't it?
yeah, all the meetings that was like previous from today, so I kind of tried to watch all of them, and I'm so nervous to talk to you guys.
That's okay. You don't have to be nervous at all. You don't have to be nervous.
Just a journey, and sometimes just don't have anybody that have the same ideas as you have. YouTube is great. You can watch a lot of stuff and you can have amazing feedback from other people's experiences, but talking is something so different. So I just want to say hi, and I just want to probably participate in every Saturday that I can, and I'm very happy like you have this open for everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah. What has your experience been like?
So I've okay, my story is pretty huge. I don't know, like just
No,
so
it's okay. Just share whatever you're comfortable sharing.
So I mean, I grew up eating normal food. I'm from south of Brazil. We eat a lot of meat. I live in US now, but I mean, we eat a lot of meat, and that was not an issue when I was growing up. But I've been very sick growing up, and after a while, I moved to US. I ate a lot of things that the sad diet that
Yeah.
everyone talks about. After that, I move a lot. I travel for work, and afterwards I start like when I settle down with my husband, I start to see the necessity of changing my diet. But I went to the other side. I went vegan.
Okay.
So I've been like for basically 3 years, about 3 years, I was vegan. I got pregnant, and it was on and off, to be honest with you, but more on than off. After that, I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was basically very strict vegan at that point. And by vegan, I mean it was not really processed foods or anything like that. I was like drinking gallons of spinach juice in the morning to make sure that she had all the vitamins and everything. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
Now I see crazy, right? So anyhow, more for the end of the pregnancy, I started realizing that I was with this really high craving of eating liver. And I was like, that's something, I don't want to do that. My husband, he's very much about balance everything. So he was like, just eat some liver. So okay, we find it out in the grocery shop, and I ate it, and not too like 1 or 2 days afterwards, my doctor called me saying that my iron was very low, and I had just regular exams from the pregnancy, and I didn't know that. But I was having that craving, and I ate, and then afterwards I found out that was, and I was like, okay, that's something I gotta take in consideration. My body knows.
Yeah, and your body was telling you.
Exactly. I was like, and because I grew up eating chicken heart, liver, this kind of thing. So it was not a foreign thing for me to eat liver, So I just, my body knew that I could get whatever needed from there. So then I started changing my mind about things, but it was little by little. And then I became kind of a keto kind of person, but trying to still do vegan. And then it was about Christmas, and my sister asked, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I said, "I want a keto book, but vegan, because I'm finding very hard to do keto and vegan diet." Okay, and then I started reading that book. Was amazing. But I start to understand, like, oh, you need to supply with this. You need to be very careful with this, and that. Like, life cannot be this complicated. It shouldn't be that complicated. And then I was like, and then I came across like in keto. I was watching a YouTuber, and she was trying to do a 1 week carnivore. And I was like, that's very interesting. How is that possible? And then she went, and I love meat. I grew up eating meat. I love meat. And then she did. I was like, oh, I could try that, because I was like, one thing leads to another. having
Yeah.
my cravings for liver, and then going for seeing like that book, reading that book, fantastic book, but made me understand the other side of things. Like this could not be that complicated. And then I was like, you know what, maybe this is my thing, And then I started, but I'm gonna tell you, I didn't have a very easy, let's say, it was not easy for me.
The transition.
Yeah, it was not like I didn't have the regular transition that people talk about in the carnivore diet. I have a full bone like allergy. I don't know if it's eczema, allergy, things just, like I had previously, like my whole life, a lot of allergies and things like that. But it just came, I was itching. I was like, seriously, it was about like a year like that. It was very hard for me. So sometimes, and then I was trying to understand what could that be. I heard about oxalates. I tried to learn as much as I could. And because I was eating a lot of spinach in the pregnancy, throughout the pregnancy, thinking I was doing the right thing. And then I thought maybe that's what's coming out now. It needs to go out of me.
All those oxalates.
And anyhow, it was very hard because I was trying to, okay, let me maybe go back a little bit and see. So it was like a lot of getting out of the diet and going back to it's not, I don't like saying diet because it is being a carnivore. It is not a diet. I mean, but just for the lack of word, let's say.
I understand.
So it was like that on and off. And I went through this and I was on and off, and my allergies start to, after a year, start to kind of go down, and I start to do other supplements from ancestral supplements, something like that. Try to help things out. I didn't know what was going on, and I never had anybody to talk about it. So that was it. And after a while, I kept going. 2 years now, basically. I kept going, but I always fall off the wagon. This last week, I mean, Christmas, all my family came to my house, so I was super good going through the carnivore protocol, and I don't know, family's here, I'm not gonna do this, and then it was like almost from like December, 20th December last year until this last week, I was just not considering anything. I didn't eat a lot of meat. It's not like it was not in my plate. I was not just eating meat or animal products. So now I started again this week, and I'm very strong, and I'm very like kind of being a little bit more strict. But if I really feel like I'm gonna bounce, like last night, and then I ate some cheese because I love cheese, but I'm trying to get out of being out of it because I think it gives me allergy as well, and itches and things like that. But in a nutshell, I'm sorry, it was too long. I'm sorry.
No, that's not too long. Because I think that that's so important to hear the process, because so many people, they try this and then they have a reaction like you did. And they're like, oh, it doesn't work for me. But
yeah. I thought about that many times, to be honest with you. I think maybe my body's react as same as my body wanted liver, for example. My body's reacting, and maybe it doesn't want that much, but I was still feeling so good. And although I was waking up, sometimes I had to go to shower during the night because the itch was so massive, my arms, my neck, my face. But still, I was feeling so good in other senses, like feeling more energy, more things, like, I mean, many little things that you start to realize that you didn't know before. For example, bloating. I was these people talk about bloating. And then when I actually moved to carnivore, I was like, oh, okay, I was constantly bloated. That's why I didn't know what was that about.
Exactly. We don't know what it is until the condition is removed. We just think that's normal human life.
Yeah. Way of thinking, way faster as well. So a lot of little things that made me feel so good. In the other hand, I was like so bad in my like allergies and things like that. Let's put it that way. So that's why it made me keep going, like little by little, falling off the wagon, coming back, because I knew something was right. And I know that's the right way to eat, to be honest. But it's so hard to keep up with that, to be honest with you. That's why I never went to a support group. That's why I'm here and I want to be here, you know, because I think I need that. And I saw you talking about that in another video, how important the support is. I'm here for that because I really think that I never implement that all the other times that I've tried. So thank you guys for here listening to me. I appreciate you being here, seriously.
No problem. And we look forward to, you know, being a witness to your journey and to hear how it goes. So please keep us updated.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ivana. Becky, you wanted to say something?
Let's see. Hi, you guys. I think my video got turned off because my grandchildren were playing with my phone.
That's okay.
So, okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So, well, as you can tell, I have my grandchildren here. And my husband and I do very well, pretty much keeping down to just a few carbs, like maybe a baked potato that we split or something like that, or maybe a slice of bread at a restaurant once a week or something. But when my grandkids come, I don't particularly buy them too much junk. Usually their moms or their parents will bring them a few treats to have. But I keep snitching like, oh, well, I'll have some of that French bread you brought or some of those cookies you brought. And then I'm finding like I'm caving in and like buying more stuff. But then I'm the one eating it and I get like I think it's like an addictive cycle. I'm sorry, I ate too much shit yesterday and now I'm a mess.
It's okay. I understand.
I don't get this way when I don't eat junk, but when I eat junk, I get my bipolar back. I'm crybaby, but I'm having a real hard time because I have a very large family and there's a party every other day. It seems like, right? Hang on just a second. Shh, just a minute, honey. I'm talking to my friends. Are you okay? So anyway, I just need. Okay, I just need a little advice on how to not get into that cycle. I'm going to 2 parties this weekend, and it's always like, oh, there's a party. I'll just have some of this or that, and I bring meat-based food to share. For the last 10 years, I always bring my own food to wherever I go, something that I can eat. You know, so I know that trick, and a lot of times I eat before I go anyway, so I'm not starving. But then towards the end of the day, or I'll bring something home and I'll eat it later. So once I start eating it, I get where I am binge eating.
I am so sorry, Becky. All I can tell you though is that we have been there. We have absolutely been there, and it feels like such a letdown whenever we know what to do and then we don't do what we know is right and best for our bodies. And it is an onslaught of excuses and reasons that come at us. I mean, birthdays, celebrations, holidays. And then if you're a woman in her cycle, there's the period every week or every month, and then the ovulation, and then, you know, you just have a bad day. You just have a bad day. And it's just constant. And so that's why I think it's so important to stay connected into groups like this or into coaching, so that you have somebody that you can talk to, not only that you hear them, but that they hear you and that they see you. Because I think so often, we go and we watch YouTube this and YouTube that. And it's great. It's great to get all that information, but there comes a point where you need that human connection, where you need somebody who sees you, who says, Becky, what did you eat today? Who says, Becky, what are you going to do about this weekend, about this party that's coming up? Becky, let's get a plan, And so I really think that it is inevitable that there are so many things that come at us, but I think you're doing the right thing and you're in the right place and you're doing so much better, like you said. Here in the chat, it says, oh, Terry says, especially in the beginning, my only trick to deal with temptations was to stuff myself with meat until there was no room left. Mm-hmm. Now I get crystal clear about my identity as a healthy, slim person in control of her urges. Stuff yourself with meat and keep reminding yourself why you are doing this. Ooh.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, I have mentioned to the group, I think I have bipolar and I have Parkinson's, that perhaps is from the drug related taking bipolar medication. It triggered it. Also, I had knee surgery 4 years ago that seemed to really trigger the bad use. So I have a limited use in my right hand, which is very frustrating. And then I drag my right foot, which is frustrating. So I really have a lot of motivation, and I feel like I'm not going to get healed because I keep sliding backwards, And so that is upsetting to me, because I know I have to do this to at least have an attempt to try to heal, but I keep going into temptation. So I'm at a goal weight. So I weigh like 130 pounds. So I'm not worried about weight. I'm 64, almost 65, but it's more just the healing. And then also I did have weight loss surgery 10 years ago. So when I eat the junk food, I get really bad diarrhea and very stinky gas, which is hard to control. So then it's really hard to be around in a group because I'm having to go to the bathroom every 20 minutes, and stink up the house. And so I have a lot of motivation to not eat that, but it's still extremely addictive.
It is. The only other thing I would add is, like I said, coaching or a more intensive support group, like what Jules and Claire offer. I would definitely recommend that you reach out to them, and I will go ahead and link them again in this group.
Okay, good.
Actually, Jules, can you link that in the chat? And then whenever I post this on YouTube, I will put Jules and Claire's meeting, Heart Carnivore, because they meet regularly and they talk in detail about how to navigate this.
I do want to join those groups, and I'll have to try to figure that all out again. And then I also just want to say that I did sign up for Kelly Hogan's group in March. And then I'm also signing up for your group. So I think the more, the better,
Awesome.
I don't think that they're going to particularly contradict each other. Although I know some people are like, don't ever touch an egg. And other people say like, well, if you need to eat this or that. The other thing I was thinking about, and just get your opinions, I used to use stevia and I didn't seem like I had the desire to eat that much junk, like sugar cookies or ice cream. But then now I've given up stevia, and I'm tending to eat more of the real, dessert type stuff. So I thought, I heard somebody say they use Diet Coke for a while. I'm not going to drink Diet Coke, but I could use stevia. But then I'm like, well, am I going backwards? Because I took like a month or so to give that up. But I'm finding that without the stevia, I want to eat like the real cookies or the real ice cream. So I don't know, maybe, I'm kind of like,
I think it's a process. I think it takes a while for you to kind of starve that component in your brain. And as long as we keep that sweet taste in our mouth, then we're going to keep that craving. And so there are two rules of thought. There are some people who do say stevia is the way to go, and stevia is awesome, and stevia keeps you from binging on, a carton of ice cream. I was the complete opposite. I needed to remove the sweet taste from my mouth, which included stevia, erythritol, like everything, because I was such an addict, that I needed to remove that from what my experience was like, and to feed it like I always say her name wrong, New Yorker. She says in the chat, eat as much as you can, eat as often as you can, to feed those cravings instead of like starving them, instead of, acting like they're not there, to eat meat and to replace that.
A lot of times I kind of eat bacon like candy.
That's good. No, that's awesome. That's a great solution. That's a much better solution than stevia, in my opinion. Because sweeteners, they turn on that component in your brain that says, here we go, we're getting this. And
Well, I feel like even though I know it's going to make me sick and get diarrhea, I'll still eat it because for like 10 seconds you feel good. I'm like, this is like heroin or something.
exactly. And New Yorka, do you want to share? And how am I say your name wrong every time.
No, you say it okay.
How do you say it?
Yurka.
New Yorka.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, just to tell, is another group also about Steak and Butter Girl. She
Yes.
have support there every month. If anybody also want to join, because it's a lot of group over there when we can support each other.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think that's a great way to end our meeting, to know that there is support out there. There is support here. There is support with Jules and Claire. There's support with Brian. There's support with Steak and Butter Gal. There is support. You just got to reach out and get it. So thank you guys so much. I always enjoy spending this time with you every week. And I hope to see you next Saturday. Thanks. Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks.